What's up, guys? It's Jam1 from Jam1 TCC coming at you guys with another totally awesome video. And today we are here with a jamming deck profile, but not just anybody's jamming deck profile. It is the Cyber Dragon God, Zane Truesdale, Alex Mondlak himself from Team SSD. And he had just topped recently, and we are about to dive in deep detail of what he's been playing and how he has been doing this topping with Cyber Dragons in 2019, guys. Let's do it. Do it.
I'm very glad to be on here again. It's been a minute since I last won, but you were the first deck profile, so I felt like in light of recent events, it's only fair that I make a return, especially in light of a regional top, and then of course the YCS top that kind of put me on the map a bit.
Exactly. This guy, like, literally topping, like, everywhere. The YCS one was huge, and now this one is huge, too. He just made top 8. Like, man, this guy is, like, killing it with Cyber Dragon, guys. It's like, you guys think, like, oh, man, like, meta, but, like, this is the talk of the century right here, guys. Like, who in 2019 is actually kicking butt with Cyber Dragon? Like,
wait, this video is going to be totally awesome, I promise you that much. But before we get started, make sure you hop on the subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any totally awesome uploads. Yeah. And also, did you know that if you go to the description box below, there are some totally awesome things and content for you to consume? That's right. Did you know that Jam1 is on social media at Jam1 Productions? Did you know that you can get Jam1 merch? Did you know that you can get online tutoring? Did you know that you can get an online course? Did you know
you could also give Jam a call and talk about YGO strategy or learn about the other skills that Jam1 possesses?
Did you know any of that stuff? I bet you didn't until just now, so make sure you guys check it out and stay tuned because it's going to be totally awesome.
none other than the community is calling him this now, guys, the Cyber Dragon guy. Like, how do you feel about that, Alex?
It definitely feels good. Obviously, I can't call myself that ever. Like, no one will ever hear me call myself that because that's, you know, a title that needs to be earned, as I pointed out in, like, another video. But to me, I just feel, you know, it feels nice being respected and, you know, your opinion when people ask, oh, your input, people legitimately like hearing what you need to say in regards to a certain deck. And plus, you know, kind of a lot of people associating a whole archetype, and especially like an old one like it's Cyber Dragons, it's such a cool deal to me. I love every minute of it every day.
Awesome. Well, comment in the section below, guys. Would you guys consider him the god now of Cyber Dragons, or does he has a little bit more work to go? But I don't know. He's had 2 pretty big tops with it when it's like kind of off the map. So we're gonna dive into it. What was this regional like? Where were you guys at? Like, I know you Team SSD went out there, and a couple of your other teammates like topped as well. You got Deep Blesses up here playing Salad. You got Cody. He took the whole thing. He was number 1 in it. Cody Campbell up here was Reyes Bay. So, like, what was your place here? You made top 8. Where were you guys at?
So there was actually 2 regionals that actually happened this past weekend. I wasn't able to attend the one Sunday that Cody ended up winning, but the Blessing and I in the Kentucky regionals were the ones that made top 8 among it. There's roughly like 320, 340 people. Like, I forget the exact number, but it was enough for 9 rounds. 48 infights, and just kind of like play out. Like, I was like kind of tired from the drive the night before, but then like once the time ready to go, I was wide awake, and then just kind of ready to kind of show what the deck can do with the new toy like nachster. I was like kind of nervous leaning into it because a lot of players from the Cyber Dragon community.
Mouse over nachster for us, because guys, this card just dropped out not too long ago. This is the new Cyber Dragon, spicy toy, as he says.
Oh yeah, the thing, it's a night and day difference. Like, if like Chicago and then the Columbus regional side topped, it kind of felt like I was like playing an arm behind my back because I didn't have this card. But like, this was like the first real event that, oh hey, I got my hands on it. It's kind of time to show what I can do with it, basically.
Awesome. So like walk us through like kind of like some of the highlights of your matches. You said there were a total of 9 rounds. What were some of like your best matchups that you had to deal with? And then what were some of the worst ones that you either still pulled off or like you just didn't make it? But like I'm just curious, like how are you piloting this deck? Like is it like a go second type thing? Is it like a just straight out OTK? Like 'cause Cyber Dragons have been known for that. How like the community is just curious, like what are you doing to making this so successful?
Well, basically, like how I view the deck is that it's like very like tempo based, like where you can OTK if you're open to it. Like if some people try to get overly greedy and try to gun for an OTK sometimes when it isn't safe to, and they end up getting punished. For me, I try to shatter a board wide open, and then once the opportunity presents itself, attempt to OTK. But if I don't get an OTK, I usually try to set up disruptions with the trap card like Cybernetic Overflow and Infinity to shut out any possible like follow-up that the opponent would have if I know for a fact I can't OTK. So that's kind of like very long story short about like the general premise of my ideology of the deck, like how I go about each matchup basically, but then obviously per matchup, because the way they set up their boards and disruptions are always different, I always got to go about how I approach breaking the boards because, if you're dealing with the Will Anchor compared to a Salman Great Roar, you got to deal with that differently, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. No matter what matchup, its priority always goes breaking out board, OTK if able, and then shut out follow up if you can't OTK, basically.
Got it, got it, got it. So let's kind of we'll get back to the answering of that question real quick. Before we do that, I kind of want to just go through every card by card real quick. So go ahead and like walk us through like your ratios and everything.
All right, sounds good with me. So kind of beginning the card by card list is 3 Ash. Like it's a pretty standard card. Like I've seen a lot of players change the ratio to, and like here and there where they either mix and match hand traps so they don't clump. I can get that, but like I want to see Ash a lot. Like Ash hits so much, and it does forces opponents to end on mediocre boards a lot of the time. So that's like the main reason why I play 3. And then kind of moving on, Cyber Dragon ratios 3 Cyber Dragon, pretty standard, can't comment too much. 3 core, pretty standard as well. 3 Hertz. I see some people cut it down to 2, but I personally love it. Like the card constantly reoccurs your resources, enhances like flowability, and then makes cards like Nachster and Galaxy Soldier like more affordable when you're committing into their plays. And then respectively 3 Cyber Dragon Nachster.
The
A
new
lot of
guy to the town.
yeah, like brand new card, like it's phenomenal. Like I've seen a lot of Cyber Dragon players contemplate on 2 or 3. I personally think it's a 3 of card because it's a card you want to see. It could constantly reoccur your presence, and it's a huge threat. Like the card is phenomenal at what it does. In my opinion, it's like a better Galaxy Soldier. I use that in air quotes. Like the only real thing that it doesn't have is it being level 5. But the fact it's level 1 works in its advantage, and particularly with Link Rebo engrave. Like a lot of times against strikers, I'll have a Link Rebo engrave. I go Nashir, like target like a Cyber Dragon engrave. They attempt to Widow Anchor it or like impermanence it. I just chain Link Rebo to dodge that, and then the Cyber Dragon still comes out. So
Spicy.
overall, it's super phenomenal. Like I can't complain about this card at all. It's like a complete night and day difference. Like I said, it doesn't feel like I'm playing with an arm behind my back anymore because now I actually got this card. And then one fear, some people have been cutting this card out as of recent, but personally I like it a lot, mainly for the aspect of chain blocking against Ash, but also it helps you set up like turn 1 like Seegers, and plus it helps set up more like levels for the trap turn 1. Like you're trying to basically, if you're forced to go first, set up trap or Finny or both, like if you're able to. So overall, I love this card, but obviously isn't like that good of a card in grand scheme of Cyber Dragon cards. So that's why I play only like one. And then 3 Failure. Like a lot of players like impermanence as well, but the main reason why I use failures as synergy with Phantasme. So that's like the real reason why is that, hey, if I draw it off Phantasme, I wouldn't be able to use impermanence, but I can use failures. So that's kind of like the main reason. Like if you're not playing Phantasme, I recommend using impermanence, but it's like, it's kind of like pick and choose basically. And then Phantasme, in my opinion, this is the best hand trap for this deck, hands down. Like the fact you can, fix up your resources, but it also prevents targeting is a huge deal. And some people, when they're like analyzing Phantasm, they're like, oh, wouldn't it conflict with Cyber Dragon? It doesn't really, because Phantasm can just shuffle it back. So like literally the only times it conflicts with Cyber Dragon is if you open up to Cyber Dragons, which is already terrible, and Phantasme helps fix that basically a little bit better. Or if you draw into another Cyber Dragon, which is just bad luck at that point. That's like this is like you can't do much about that, but it doesn't really conflict, especially in light of Nachster coming out. Even if you did have the Cyber Dragon in hand, you could just pitch it, special it back. So it's like, overall it's a phenomenal card, and it's like a huge reason why I actually don't play Call by the Grave in my list. Like a lot of players like Call by the Grave, but I've always been outspoken saying I'm not a fan of that card because in theory, Phantasme, Link Kuribo dodging, and then Fear chain blocking could dodge like a very large majority of the hand traps. Plus, Phantasme in particular can stop Widow Anchor and Impermanence, which Call by a Grave can't stop. So it's like a hand trap that can fix your hand and prevent targeting is such a valuable resource. This is like one of the few cards, right, that have like a triple digit price tag, and I can honestly see why.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you're like considering playing this deck, it's like definitely I would recommend Phantasme, like 10 out of 10. The card's phenomenal.
Thanos Dragon OP.
Exactly. And then kind of like wrapping up monsters, 2 Galaxy Soldiers. Like this is possibly, in terms of my list, like the most controversial like call, I guess, in terms of ratios. Like a lot of players love 3 Galaxy Soldier, and the card is like good, but it's a very high risk and high reward card. Like there's a million ways to stop that card. Like Impermanence can stop it, Will Anchor can stop it. Aurora, in theory, I guess, if you somehow didn't already contact Fuse away their link, can stop it. So it's like one of those cards, right, that I only want to summon it when it's safe to.
Right.
Or when I'm desperate and need to dig myself out of a hole. So personally, and plus the other big factor about Galaxy Soldier is the fact that you can only use his search effect once. So it's like, oh, if you bring out one, search one, you typically bring out the other. So the third would just sit in deck, and a lot of players are like, oh, hey, you could just bring it off of Summon Sork. But like Summon Sork is also a high risk, high reward card that some players actually been cutting out recently because it's never really safe to. I personally play Summon Sork still just because it's like of the open percents and stuff. You just game them like that.
Right.
But the other huge deal, right, in regards to Summon Sork argument that I get a lot is Repair Plant. I use both effects, and I just shuffle back a level 5 light machine on top of the search. So if I do need that level 5 light machine, I don't have like a Garnet sitting in my deck. I just shuffle back a Cyber Dragon or like one of the Galaxy Soldiers I already use, I guess, and then just bring out with Summon Sork, and boom, that's like you don't have to need a third Garnet just for a Summon Sork target, basically. So basically, it's just like I'm a huge advocate for 2, especially in light of Nachster, like I've always been. So I honestly recommend players, if you haven't already tried 2 yet, like really try it, it's like a night and day difference on how well the card actually performs.
Fair enough.
And then kind of moving on to the cyber spells, 3 emergency. It's the Rhoda of the deck.
Yeah, this
It's
card is so good.
yeah, and now it's like $40 because people keep on buying it out. Like I got mine when it was like 5. I remember that. And
Nice.
and then 2 repair plants. Like some people are cutting it down to 1, and I don't really blame them. Like I'm kind of on the fence about it, but it's just like kind of one of those cards, right? That like it can help search further into combo pieces that you might need, especially since you're going second deck. You special Cyber Dragon contact fuse away, then you can net your search. And you usually that search can be very crucial if you don't already have core, or if you're trying to chain block for a core, you can add a fear, for instance. But let's say if they ash the repair plan, okay, cool, like your core and machine dupe is live if you got it. So it's just like it basically is a more of a way to search out the pieces that you're missing to complete combos and break boards is why I like to in particular. But usually with that said, I do find myself, especially if I'm going first with the deck, like if an opponent, I could tell opponent's going to force me to go first game 2 or 3, I usually side out one of them because of the graveyard setup. Like it can be a brick, especially if you're going first. So that's kind of like my philosophy on 2, but obviously with a possible ban list incoming and then the new set coming out, obviously that this is like one of the cards that might possibly get its ratio changed that I'm looking into.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 rev system, like this card is really good right now in light of nachster coming out, because if you go rev system nachster can revive something else, and you just continue popping off. So it's a card I've seen some people up to 2, which I can understand, which I'm considering it even with that being said. But I kind of need to experiment a little bit, like post Dark Neostorm, since now we got all the leaks coming out. Like we're
Right.
soon about to see what the full set looks like.
For
So
sure.
I definitely got to test it against my teammates just to see how 2 can do. But it's like, basically the ratios of repair plant rev system are kind of suspect to change. But right now they're performing well.
As long as you can rev it up.
Exactly.
5D joke. All right, continue.
So this is Cyberload Fusion. This is like one of the cards, right, that I see a lot of newer players just don't understand why this card is so crucial. But like the big reason behind it is that one player in the Cyber Dragon group that I'm in summarized it best. It's like a searchable way to Rampage Dragon, which is huge because if you're comboing off right, Cyberload Fusion can just like put that extra 21 for game. Like that's why in some lists you actually see a Cyber Twin appear here and there. But personally, I've never been a fan of Cyber Twin, because it requires Cyber Dragon itself. And if the little guys, right, are banished, they're not considered Cyber Dragon itself anymore. They're their names, like just so you could still summon a Rampage off of any of those guys banished, which is like crucial in regards to Core's graveyard effect. If you banish a Core earlier that game, like you got a setup going. Plus a cute little trick I like to do, right, is if I got Nova, a Cyber Dragon, and a Seeger setup, that's already like 8,400 in damage, like through a defense position monster even, because Seeger can boost the Cyber Dragon itself, right? And then of course Nova, like in damage step, will proceed to banish the Cyber Dragon after that Cyber Dragon hit directly for 42. That Nova can hit for another 42. But let's say if they got like a second defense position monster, hypothetically, like after that Nova attacks, typically I'll give the Seeger boost to Nova, so Nova can hit for a 63 as opposed to Cyber Dragon itself. And after I do that, right, after the Nova banish the Cyber Dragon, hit for that 63 direct, a cute little trick I do is use Cyber Load, and I fuse away the Nova and Cyber Dragon that I just banished to make a Rampage that can hit for another 21, which would be game like that, basically.
Savage.
So it's just like that's kind of like the other reason why I'm like, Cyber Twin is like meh. Like the deck does enough damage as it is.
Right.
Might as well have a card right that can nuke back row and then mill resources basically.
Yeah, especially
And
like with Striker running around too, you know.
oh yeah.
Salad, like back row all day, like.
Oh yeah. And plus, like, if you're going first right against back row heavy decks like Striker, True Draco, like what you can do right is if you have like core in one of these, like already in hand, I use core to search out one of the missing ones I don't have. And let's say you have a trap, you pop two. During the end phase still, you can still fuse and drop a rampage and proceed to nuke whatever remaining back row they got. And then the following turn, all of your guys can attack, rampage mills, and you just OTK from there.
Nice.
So that's kind of like, I would say the main reason why is that Cyberload is worth it. It's just, as only a one of, because obviously it's searchable, can brick, needs some setup, but it's definitely worth it. 110%. Then one Foolish Burial. It's just basically another way to help set up Repair Plant, and you mill off Hertz, which can add a Cyber Dragon, which all comes really in handy. Occasionally I go Foolish Burial and Core like banishes itself, and I can grab a nachster or a Hertz because it has synergy with Machine Dupe at that point, like whatever I special on out. So overall, Foolish Burial is worth it a slot because it's basically like another starter, like a way to set up your grave, but also reach your Cyber Dragons, which is huge because Cyber Dragons in the past can have some consistency issues here and there, but obviously in light of this card and then just all the other support that we've gotten, it's just like, oh, the consistency issues aren't as frequent anymore.
For sure.
And then 3 Machine Dupe. This card, that's all I can say is this card's ridiculous in everything it does. I mean, there's really no need to go into details. Like, if this card resolves, you're going to win. But, like, a cute little thing that people, especially if they're going first with Cyber Dragons, if they don't realize, is that if you, like, went, like, first, and let's say you got, like, Core, Fear, and, like, a Machine Dupe, like any extender per se, and they, like, failered your Core, I actually still Machine Dupe on that Core because you can end on, like, Seeger and Griffin, which is pretty nice. Like, it's not, like, ideal per se, but, like, you net a draw, and then, like, you can reset whatever, which is, like, you're just basically taking full advantage of your resources. It's, like, better than just kind of sitting there staring down with a Seeger and then, like, a Machine Dupe just kind of sitting in your hand. It's just kind of, like, meh. And plus you got 3 cores engraved, which is like, basically constant reoccursion that's going to happen throughout the duel, which is going to give them problems.
For sure.
And then 1-for-1, this card became a million times more useful in light of Noster.
Oh yeah, I'm
like,
sure.
Yeah, it's just like the card is risky though. Like, you gotta, like, if you run into an Ash with it, it kind of sucks, but it's like, it's just like in general can help you extend your combos, help like filter out like Hertz in your hand. Overall, it's like it was an amazing card at the regional. Like, whenever, like, let's say a Core gets Ash and I didn't have a Machine Dupe, it's like, okay, cool, like 1-for-1 pitch Hertz, bring out Nachster revives a Cyber Dragon, and then it's just like things just quickly just spiraled out of my opponent's control, basically. So overall, I'd say it's worth it because it's kind of in light, like Foolish Burial, where it's like a starter almost, but this one just requires a bit more setup. And then one Overload. Overload in particular is like a controversial card, like in terms of ratios. Like you see some lists use 3, and then you see others use 2, and then I'm kind of out there with only 1. The reason why I play only 1 is that it needs setup, but like every weakness Cyber Dragon has, and especially in regards to Floodgate, like summon limits, and there can only be 1. Overload will not help you break out of that, basically. So it's just like if you special a Cyber Dragon, they flip there can only be 1, you're locked. Like, and so that's why, like, if I had to emphasize what my list was trying to do, it was adaptability is like the main word is, oh, if they flip up there can only be 1, like I can have like twin twisters, they flip up a summon limit, I got twin, or I'm able like hopefully dig myself out of it. So it's just like this card is good, but it's just like, you know, it needs setup, and like even if you did bring out a rampage when the board isn't safe to, the rampage is going to get stopped, and you just invested your resources into something that went nowhere. So that's why I only play 1. It's like, you know, it's a very good card at what it does, but it's just like, you know, what you bring out, if it gets stopped, if you can't set it up, or just in general, you can't bring it out because of all these floodgates that are prominent, is the reason why I don't like more than 1 Overload. But, you know, it's still good at what it does, but it's still like similar Galaxy Soldier in the Fane that you only use it when it's safe to, or when you're desperate. And then 3 Twin. Pretty standard. Like some players like maining Pankatops, which is understandable, especially if you don't play Thanos Dragon. I use Twin instead because against a lot of matchups they would flip up floodgates, and then like Sky Strikers, like for instance Cody's list that topped a regional, actually won a regional, he made summon limit even. Like a lot of these decks, right, some of them are getting really cheeky with whatever back row they're using. In particular, some salad players, right, were actually maining Solemn Strike, which is where kind of Twin Twisters, you know, thrives, because if I specialed out a Cyber Dragon and they got a Roar and a Strike set, they're in a bad like predicament in the sense of whether or not they strike that Cyber Dragon, or if they let it go through. Most of the time they don't strike the Cyber Dragon. So I contact fuse away, make a Mega Fleet, the Roar's now dead, and I just Twin Twister out the Strike and Roar. So it's just like Cyber Dragon's like one of the few decks that can get away with maining Twin efficiently, even against Salad Game 1, just because of how easy you can out that Roar by just playing the deck. Like, just make a Mega Fleet. Unless they got, like, you know, Link 2 and Link 1 set up under it. That's, like, the only real time, like, Twin can be kind of iffy. But, you know, you can play around that. Like, it's very manageable dealing with that board. And then, lastly, one, the Trap. It's, like, pretty standard. Like, a lot of players like playing 1. It's, like, your main go-to option if you're going first. Your main goal is basically set up Infinity and this Trap, basically. One or the other, or ideally both. So, can't really complain about that overall.
Onto the extra deck.
Yep. Oh, onto the extra deck. Fortress, 2 Mega Fleet. This is a pretty standard ratio for the most part. You don't really see machine decks flying around, but it's still like Fortress is kind of there where, oh, hey, if you're playing against a deck like Cosmo or even like ABC occasionally, or even the mirror match, that, hey, it's like one of those options that you want to have safe. And plus, Fortress itself isn't bad because Sky Striker, they use machines.
Yeah,
so
true. All the ray transformations are most definitely machines.
Mm-hmm. So it's like basically, even if you're not playing against like quote unquote like machine based archetypes throughout the day, you're still going to get your use out of it. It's kind of one of those cards, right? That, oh, with one extra deck slot, you can cover such a wide range that you rather have it than not.
Right.
And then 2 Mega Fleet, pretty standard. But
Kaiju.
yeah, and Kaiju. But obviously in this list, I didn't use Kaiju, which I can tackle on like a bit later because I wrote down common like questions people give me a lot.
Got it.
But then 2 Mega Fleet, this is pretty standard. Like I've seen some people actually go up to 3, which is actually understandable because
So good.
the one draw I actually had, I could have won in theory game 1 with like I use air quotes like saying 1 because like the dude had some back row and such. So but like basically we were in a serious grind game and it was like one of the few times I wish I had a third because if I did have a third, my predicament, like when he went Borload, steal my infinity, would have been a much better predicament because I would have been able to contact fuse away the Borload infinity, but for the third Mega Fleet. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But then I ended up winning game 2, which resulted in the draw because time in a round got called after I hit him for a few damage. His turn came by, then boom. Like,
Right.
can't do much if you got a 30-minute long grind game.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, I might experiment with 3. It's just like this extra deck is so tight as it is that would, like I said, that's like the only real time I wish I had a third.
Right.
Like, and then 2 Rampages. Like, some players like playing 1, like, and then, of course, 1 twin as well, or they just play 1 of the Rampage and, like, no twins. Personally, I feel like 2 is the right ratio because you play Overload Fusion, and then you play Cyberload, which are 2 fusion cards that, and one of which being searchable. So it's like, it's one of those cards, right, that you rather play 2 just in case if it pops up, especially if you're playing against, which one guy did this, and I don't know why he did this. Like, one dude Ghost Stokered the Nova.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And then I brought a second Rampage like that. And then it was just like, oh. So it's just like, it's one of those cards, right, that you rather have 2 just in case if you need it. You rather not regret not having it when you need it.
For sure, especially in format like this where face downs are just so like common. Like
Yeah. And plus Rampage in particular, right, is so much more broken because of this card existing.
yeah,
Like, I find myself, like, it's so funny because previously, right, like, before nachster, you would never, like, exceed with the Rampage, like, and make, like, a Nova. But these days you can because, like, let's say if you met, you know, off of your Rampage, you make a Nova. That Nova detaches the Rampage, brings out a nachster. That nachster could just bring back the Rampage and you could just mill again. Like, it's ridiculous, like all that the one card does. It just opens up a whole world of options just like that. So
for
Rampage overall, amazing card. I recommend 2. If anything, the other reason why, outside the reason why I pointed out earlier, the problem with Cyber Twin, the face-up banish part, Rampage is also a level 5. So it's just like the fact that you're able to overlay, exceed, and whereas Twin is not a level 5. Having that wide variety of options and then, of course, millability is the huge reason why I recommend 2 Rampage in particular.
sure.
And
Nova
then
baby.
Infinity.
I mean, not Nova, Infinity. Sorry,
Yeah.
Infinity and beyond.
Yep. Basically, Nova Infinity package. Like, this is pretty standard, like, for the most part. Like, I can't really, like, say, like, I can't really complain about it. Like, in particular, 2 Infinity's gotten better in light of Nostr because Nostr can revive Novas or an Infinity itself if you really wanted to. But if I'm going for, like, a lot of damage out of nowhere, sometimes I go, oh, Nostr, revive a Nova, and then enter battle phase. If they're wide open, if they're at, like, 4,000 or below, I can do this little trick where Nova attacks, damage step can banish the Nostr, and boom, that's 42 to face like that.
For sure.
Or you can, use nachster, contact fuse, make mega fleet, fortress, but sometimes if they're, as I said in that example, wide open, you can't really contact fuse. But that's like a little trick that pops up here and there. It's just basically, I recommend this ratio. Like 2 Infinity did pop up a bit more in the regional, especially in light of a bit of a grindier format that we got here.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving on to the links, 1 Seeger, Griffin, Link Rebo, Platinum Gadget, Genius, and Summon Sork. Like, for the most part, this is all pretty standard, except for the Platinum Gadget. Like,
how has this been? Because this is newer as well.
yeah, so it came out in dual power alongside Nostr, and it was kind of like an out there pick for most players. Like, a lot of players would read the first line pretty much and say, oh, cannot be used as a link material to turn a summon, and immediately disregarded the card. Sure, that drawback is huge, but like the big reason why I play it is because of the fact of this effect. During your main phase, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower machine monster from your hand to summon this points to. The reason why this is huge is that you could cheat out Nostr with being more effective with your hand resources. And so basically, if you went like Platinum Gadget, Nostr, or 5 Cyber Dragon, you could contact fuse away the Nostr and their extra monster summon Mega Fleet. That's already like 61 damage right off of that, like that. But also occasionally, right, if I got like Core, Nostr, and like a Cyber Dragon up, which happens frequently, occasionally you have a clumped Hertz in your hand. You can make a Platinum Gadget from there, bring out a Hertz, make Hertz level 5, and then you can overlay into Nova Infinity and just proceed to do whatever. So overall, I like it because it can help unclub hands, but it also makes your Nostrs more efficient with the resources, basically.
Clever. All right, and then let's breeze through this side deck real quick. So,
yeah, sure. 3 Lancia. Danger Thunder is the bad matchup, so Lancia gotta lock out their plays. Like, I usually wait for them to set up any monster in their graveyard, then Lancia them, so if they're trying to commit resources, you can punish them accordingly. Then basically, Scythe package. Like, in my opinion, Scythe package is the best going first cards in the game right now, because if you Scythe lock them, they can have all the extenders in the world, and they're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
And then 3 Pankatops. Like, this is for back row heavy decks, but also Salad. Because even though I did mention Twin is, like, decent against Salad, like, Pankatops is, like, better. So if I know I'm going against a deck like Salad, especially at that point, they would probably have Artifact Sanctum in. I usually have Pankatops over the Twins to deal with Salad, because if they go like, oh, Link 2, Link 1, I could special Cyber Dragon, special Pank, contact fuse away, attack, then main phase 2, proceed with my normal plays while the Roar is dead.
Right.
So, not Roar, I mean Rage is dead, but... So that's like the huge reason why, and also it deals with floodgate cards like Summon Limit. There can only be one.
There can only be one is like poison to you. So
yeah.
You need to get rid of that.
Exactly. Like, a lot of players, like, that I noticed, they build their side decks as all offense, and they don't respect the floodgates as much as they probably should. So it's just like, you gotta be weary of them. That's the main reason why I see a lot of Cyber Dragon decks lose, is due to floodgates. Not so much like crazy monster boards, unless it's like Danger Thunder, where they drop everything on you, basically.
Right.
And then 2 Ogre. It's meant for Sky Striker multi-roll, and then, of course, the Danger Thunder matchup, you snipe off their Guard Dragons. Like, not dealing with the Goliath is a huge part in winning against Danger Thunder. So overall, can't complain about Ogre in the side. Like, there was a part of me considering maining it maybe, but I was like, I just like Phaler more than Ogre right now,
Yeah, I think
basically.
Baylor is really good right now in today's current game.
Yeah,
Like,
it hits everything. Like literally, like you can give like a whole list of like all the matchups that it hits, and it literally like there's not a deck that can really dodge Phaler unless you're playing like True Draco, like Guru
right,
Control, like something that isn't like meta.
right. And
And
shared
then
ride.
this card is so dirty. Like it's like probably made me win like a solid like 3 matches because game one, right? I would typically win game ones because players would win the die roll, or even if they lost the die roll, they would go first, which it benefits me. And then after like I do crazy combos, show them, oh hey, I'm playing a going second deck. They get kind of intimidated by that. So they let me go first, like game two typically, or game three, depending on whatever they got the choice. And share ride in the same like vein as scythe affects the whole turn. Like literally, like the amount of times players will go like twin twisters target shared ride or the trap, or like artifact sanctum with shared ride. I just go chain both, and they just burn the twin twisters out, and they're just kind of like stuck staring it down like an infinity. And then when they're trying to push past it, like by searching, I just plus a lot, like
Yeah,
all the time. And then once the infinity negate, or if I draw into more hand traps and negate something, they're just like, oh, well, I just let this guy draw 3 cards and he's going to OTK me the following turn.
yeah.
So,
The
oh,
pseudo maxi.
yeah, it literally is. Like the moment you draw 2 cards off a shared ride and they don't OTK you, I would legitimately be surprised if you somehow aren't able to game them the following turn. Like they would need the hope of having a floodgate somehow to stop what's coming right at their faces the next turn.
All right. Oh, awesome. So you said that you had like noted a couple questions that a lot of players like to ask about Cyber Dragons.
Yes. So like obviously I covered the Galaxy Soldiers earlier. That was
Right.
like a
Yeah.
huge deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um The other question that a lot of players notice is the fact I didn't play Kaiju this time around. Like
Mm-hmm.
Kaiju is good and all, but like against a lot of decks, right? Like against strikers, like you could play around the back row like super easily, especially with Phantasme. And this card, nachster can help you extend past anchors. Like, and plus, like if anything, Sky Strikers, the main reason why I noticed like a Cyber Dragon player would lose isn't so much the crazy Widow Anchors and all that. It's mainly multi-roll and floodgates that kill the deck. So basically, like when I was like testing against like guys like Cody and on my team that play Striker, where if I kaiju them, then special Cyber Dragon, and they flip up a summon limit, you're just like, oh, like you just kind of stare down at like you just gave them a 3300 beater that they can multi-roll away the following turn or field spell away, or if they flip up there can only be one, you're just like you can't do much about that. You just kind of sit there and stare. So and then against Danger Thunder, right, when they drop like Hot Red board with Goliath, Colossus, like you need to open up like all the combo cards plus kaiju, and even if you kaiju them, you're more than likely gonna have like search cards right in your hand that are just dead because of Colossus. So basically the kaiju doesn't do enough against that. And then against Salad, it's just like, oh, kaiju over anything, contact fuse, it does like decent, but it's still like I'd rather have another resource in my hand that can either prevent the board or just help me further like extend past it basically, as opposed to giving them a resource that doesn't really do much in the grand scheme of the game.
Fascinating. That makes sense. Yeah.
And then the other thing that a lot of people ask is, oh, like I see that you're playing like 7 going first cards. What do you like side in and out like accordingly? Which is like, a very good question. But the route I tend to go, right, when I have a feeling that players are gonna have me go first, is I side out cards like, one of the repair plants, Galaxy Soldier, Overload Fusion, basically, and even like Cyberload, depending on the matchups. Basically, cards, right, that are like super offensive and need setup to do, I tend to take out, because out of a 5-card hand, you got to make the most out of all of your resources. So, like, cards that require less setup tend to be better in making the most out of your 5-card hand. And plus, you got to be a bit more defensive. Like, what's an Overload Fusion really going to do going first, other than, cool, get a few mills off, like, or maybe get that level 5 for the Infinity. But what's, like, better, like an Overload, or give it Artifact Sanctuming them? I'm, like, on the side of Artifact Sanctum does a lot better.
I don't know, man. That sounds crazy. I feel it, though. Yeah, no, you're right. For sure.
So that's like basically like my real advice, right, with Cyber Dragon players is like, I kind of always analyze how meta decks, like how they go about like siding and their choices, and I kind of keep note on, oh, how can I play that in my Cyber Dragons? And so that's kind of where, hey, cut down on like the super offensive, like, I'm going to kill you cards. Like, if you have a feeling you're going to end up going first, for your cards like Share Ride and Artifact Sanctum, because literally if you're going first, you don't have a battle phase. So it's like, what's the point of those cards being in there when you could just lock them out for a turn and then kill them the following turn super easily?
Right. Fascinating. Did you have any other questions that people ask often, or is that the majority of them?
Yeah, that's like the vast majority of them. Like, for the most part, it's just basically like kind of how I approach meta decks, basically, and then kind of like how I side accordingly, basically. And like I pointed out earlier in the video, I usually very well emphasize like adaptability, and then just, as much card advantage and momentum as possible, as opposed to a lot of players just gunning for damage.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that about wraps it up, I can think of. I mean, we pretty much touched a lot of things, a lot of questions that people have. And, like, yeah, man, congratulations, Alex. Team SSD Solar System Duelist out here just killing the game. Everybody in City Solar System Duelist is out here topping recently, doing very well. You and your teammates are just out here. Like, again, the community is like pretty much gunning for the name, the Cyber Dragon God. So if you guys agree, like, boost this name. I think like a couple more tops and like just keep on winning when this deck right now is not even on the map. I think it's just really amazing. So I'm glad that we had an opportunity to talk about like some of his strategies and how things are going. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Alex, before we drop off?
Nothing too much other than that. Is like, it's always good to be on this channel. You were the first one, to kind of recognize, I guess, my potential with this deck.
For sure.
And then, obviously I got to thank the team. Like, those guys are the reason why I am where I am now. Like, unlike most players where they assume, oh, hey, you're playing this deck is bad, they always told me, hey, this idea has got potential. Let's polish this out. So it was like through the countless like testing sessions, like where initially I would get my teeth kicked in a bit because I didn't know how to adjust the meta. Then as with these gradual adjustments over time is what eventually led to where it is now. It's honestly like, to me, it's just been, this team has been very rewarding, and I can't thank them enough for it.
For sure. Awesome. Well, stay awesome. Zane Truesdale, Alex, you have a wonderful day, and thank you for your time. I'm pretty sure a lot of Cyber Dragon players can benefit from this for sure.
Thank
And
you.
Team SSD Solar System Duelist, keep on winning, guys. You guys are out here just doing it, man. Like, I see y'all doing y'all thing, and congratulations.
Thank you so
It's an
much.
honor to support you guys.
Hey, you. Don't forget to subscribe, because it'd be totally awesome if you did, because you guys, by subscribing, sharing, and following me on social media, you help continue to create this totally awesome content, and I love you for doing so. Make sure you guys check out the description box below as well, because there's all kinds of new projects that Jam 1 is up to, and I would totally mean the world to me if you checked it out. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy life. More than awesome, he's totally awesome.